Welcome, everybody, to the Loan Officer Team Training Podcast. And today I have an amazing guest. His name is Steve Kiles. For those of you that may not know about him, which would be rare, he is a producing branch manager. He's a partner with Carl White and Tammy Schneider in the Mortgage Marketing Animals and the Freedom Club. That's how he and I met. And he is a great leader, a great business owner, a great branch manager and loan originator, and he lives in Houston, Texas. So welcome, Steve, to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you, Irene. I've got to tell you, it's so great to be here with you on the podcast. And I've got to tell you, you're such an amazing leader in our organization and group. And for those of you who are listening, not only is the loan team training, I mean, it's absolutely remarkable. I've had my team members go through, I've heard great things about other Freedom Club members that have had their team members go through as well. You're helping us find freedom by developing our teams and giving us more bandwidth. You're our who. And a small known fact too, you are one of the OGs of the Freedom Club, actually helping us launch out the coaching for what we now know as the Freedom Club with the Mortgage Marketing Animals. Irene, you have been such a gift to this organization. And over the last 10 years now, just thank you for your contribution and the value you bring, not only to MMA, but also to our industry. So thank you for that, Irene. I'm just thrilled to be here on your podcast. What a cool thing, from ideation to on the podcast. I remember when you were planning this thing out.
I do too. It was so exciting. And you kept telling me, do it, just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
And I finally did. And I'm so glad I did. So thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate that. First, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. So tell us a little bit about like your branch and just different things that you're doing.
Excited to be here. I'm doing what everybody in this industry is doing. We're working to grow and build an organization. So I've been in the business since 2002, got licensed in 2003, rode the ups and downs that everybody has. About a year and a half ago, I started from zero to build a brand new branch to $1 billion. We've got a 3-year run rate to do it. We are currently on track. We spent the first 6 months building systems, process, structure. 11 months started to recruit loan officers and add people to our branch. I produce, and we've now got 21 loan officers, about 30 of us in the branch, and we're on track for that $1 billion run rate by not next December, but it's the next. And so it's super cool, exciting to see what we're doing. And then a partner with the Marketing Animals. Got a great podcast, Loan Officer Leadership Podcast, which is presented by Marketing Animals. And that's how I met Carl White a year and a half ago. We ended up joining forces. And so it's a lot of fun. Love helping people. I'm actively in the business, but then we spend so much of our time helping originators grow their businesses and with a proven plan and path. And, you know, Irene, you would hear it all the time. If I knew what to do, I would do it. And what we do is just show the path of what to do to have great success. And so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really a lot of fun. And you're a master at systems, processes, procedures, all of that. And we call it SWET, same way every time, doing things the same way every time. So one day, Tammy and I were sitting there talking and we were thinking of different things. And I went, oh my gosh, yeah, that's like SWET. It's the same way every time. It's SWET. Mm-hmm. So we went, wow, that's so cool. So that's what we came up with. And it's so fun to use that acronym, right, in everything that we do. So tell us a little bit about how your team works and how you utilize the systems, the SWET.
So here, and this is all, you know, everybody, we're growing every day, every month, every year. The goal is to get 1% better. And as we've started to grow something that produces a repeatable, referable experience, what we've realized is that if it's not done the same way every time, it doesn't create excellence. It doesn't create comfort. And Irene, listen, me too. We're such big personalities. You're listening to this as a loan officer, and listen, you walk in a room and you just light the place up. You know who to talk to, you know who to shake hands with, you know, you're walking in and we're such a personality driven industry.
Yes.
What we began to realize was this: last year, about a year and a half ago, Tammy and Carl were really challenging me. All roads led to Steve. And they said, look, how do we build this so that no roads lead to Steve and you build something significant? And what I realized was, well, you got to do it the same way every time. So that means the way I answer the phone with my results, every first phone call of a new lead needs to have a loyalty uplift. We got to get them to complete the application, schedule the loan consultation. The minute I began to do my first calls the same way every time, now I could hire a client concierge, which we do, Kayla, and she can do it the same way every time. It's not based on Steve's big personality. It's based on, did she go over the same points the same way every single time to produce the same result? And when you think about it, if a loan officer can answer the phone the same way, you can add somebody in to answer the phone the same way. If a loan officer does a loan consultation the same way every time, you can add in a mortgage expert to do it the same way every time. If the loan officer does pre-approved and looking every single time the same way every time, you can add in your mortgage expert to do the pre-approved and looking. And it's still, and you take any position in the mortgage industry, if it's got a process to it, a same way every time, you can now insert in somebody, a team member, a who, and now remove yourself from it. And then guess what? If you're not getting the results, it's either time or process. There's not been enough time, like in our DSP, it takes 90 days to see a real breakthrough in the sales activity. But then if I go 100 days and I'm not seeing it, maybe we got to tweak some things. So it's either I'm not doing it long enough, or the process needs to be tweaked based on results. And Irene, that's where the real drive to how do we create a process-based organization, a process-based business. Michael Gerber wrote a book, The E-Myth, and then there's a book called Traction. We've really dove deep into, but it is all about the better your process, the more automated you can make your business so that you're not in the middle of it, because you got great people doing the work on your behalf and you're making a great living. So that's been the fun part of it, is just leaning into it.
Yeah. It makes working so much easier, doesn't it? When you know that you've got the right people in place and they have the right personalities, because they do have to have, they're an extension of you. So they do need to have the right personalities. They need to treat people the right way. All of that matters, doesn't it? So how did you get your first team? And since then, what have you learned about hiring the right team with or without experience?
Hey, well, I want to encourage, that's a great point. And you know what? How did I really get much better at it in the last 2 years has been Kristen Watkins and our coaches here at the Mortgage Marketing Animals, and you and Tammy. And I got to tell you this, it is important to know that a natural behavioral style leans to a specific position. So if I'm looking for a processor, I don't really need, and the processor's not client facing, I really don't need a whole lot of I, probably not even a ton of D. I need a lot of SC.
Right.
And
In the
that's on
disc
the disc
profile.
profile. And so if you're listening today, I mean, we'll put a link in our show notes, or how, one of our team members can talk to you more about the importance and what profiles are important for different team positions. And so the more you realize, look, if I'm taking an SC, which is a disc behavioral profile study, and an S is somebody who's real steady, doesn't have a lot of personality, they're not driving to the task per se, but then they got a lot of detail oriented aspects to them, I'm not going to put that person as answering my phone. They'd be a great processor. So half of the battle is understanding which personality behavior style fits best in each position, which gives me a better advantage or a better opportunity it's going to work. And then it also allows that person to find their comfort zone. And I don't mean to settle for average, but to find what they're uniquely good at. A high steady Eddie, a high compliant documentation person's going to love to be in the files, love working through tax returns, love doing the checklist on the details. But then if I get somebody who has a real high I, which is an influencer, the gregarious, big personality, if I put them as a processor, they're going to fail miserably. Doesn't matter how much they want to do it. They want relationships and people. So I would hire that person as a BDR, maybe a client concierge to answer the phone. So I think first off, you got to understand which personalities to put in what positions, and we can help you with that.
Yes.
And then the second thing is making sure that you're getting the assessment as you're doing the interviews so that you can put them in the right position. Because Irene, how many times has somebody walked in and said, I'm a great processor, and then you look at their disc assessment and you're like, I'm sorry, that's what somebody told you, but you're probably not real. You're probably just not like that. Are you excelling? Oh, I'm okay. You really find out they would be better as a pre-approval specialist, not necessarily a
Yes.
loan, a back-end processor, maybe a loan partner, not a processor. And it's funny because sometimes you believe what people told you. Somebody may have told you you're a great processor
Mhm.
because that's the need they had, not necessarily
Yes.
that's your natural bend or your natural behavior style. And
Right.
so we've got to help our people uncover what they're really good at. You may have the right people sitting in the wrong position. Once you begin to understand where to put them, you help them self-assess to understand what they love to do. Your team will start to excel because they'll start to feel the win, see the win, love what they're doing. And that's when it starts getting fun. 1+1 doesn't equal 2. 1+1 equals like 5 because
Hmm.
you're in the right spot, in the right position. And then you got to lean into somebody like you and your company with the loan team training, which is so powerful. Loan officer team training. You help ignite an even bigger flame because now your team members get it at a higher level. So
Yeah, because loan officers don't have time to train their team. That's the
no,
thing. That's why
it's
we
not our highest and
recommend.
best use. No,
Yeah.
look, if I could spend 5 to 10 hours training a team member or 5 to 10 hours going to get 2 more loans, it would be more profitable to go get 2 more loans and then lean into you to train my team.
Yes. Yeah. So speaking of the training, we train in 3 different classes. We have one called WOW training that we really teach them how to communicate, how to do systems and processes, all of the stuff that's important. And we start with self-talk, how important what we say to ourselves is and what our mindset is. And don't you find, Steve, that your mindset is everything? How you look at things, how you perceive things, the things that you say to yourself are so important, aren't they? And
I yeah.
they don't get that. Loan partners, loan assistants, processors, things, they don't get the same exposure to those personal growth things that loan officers do, because loan officers are always at an event, they're always at some seminar or something. But the people in the office, they don't always get that. So we provide that to them because it's important. It's an important part of their day.
Yeah, I think paradigms and mindset and self-talk is huge. We talk about it through the marketing animals. We call it little guy on your shoulder.
Yes.
I think some of that is twofold. I think the more you can help, Irene, your team members get in the right position, the more they start seeing the little wins. And let me give you an example. You could have somebody that's straddling a role that they're okay in straddling, but if I could move them into one or the other, they would excel. You're
Yes.
looking at ways to help your people excel because that's where they start seeing the little wins. They
Hmm.
start seeing, oh my gosh, I am good at that. Wow, dude, we just crushed that. And that, along with your coaching on identifying the negative self talk, identifying the paradigms, identify the words and the things that you've allowed others to speak over you that you believe, it's a huge accelerant. And so I think that it's a big part that hasn't been really addressed in our industry, but needs to be so that we can continue to grow at a higher level.
Yes, I agree. So that's our WOW training. And then we have a loan officer, or it's a loan assistant mortgage training boot camp, which is an online course. Really been great to record it. My son Kenny and I recorded it because that's what he does, during the day. And that's his job. And it has been really powerful for people who don't have any experience, loan assistants or people in the coming brand new into the business that have no experience. And we teach them everything A to Z about being a loan partner, especially the training on the loans, which a lot of people don't get, right? How many people do you know that came in as an assistant or starting in the mortgage business as a receptionist and moved their way up and never got formal training?
Yeah. Love it. It's a great need that you're filling for people to come in and learn the right way. So the right things in the industry that are going to move the needle. So much of our industry is intoxicated with ineffective. And that's what I love about what you're doing, is helping them become effective immediately, quickly, which produce to the bottom line and results. Irene, your people and your support staff, they're not a liability. They're actually a profit center when trained correctly.
Yes, they are. When you have the right people and they're trained the right way. The third class we have is the client conversion training course, which teaches the people who are converting for the loan officer. And there are some loan officers that also come that they don't have a lot of experience, or they want to learn how to convert even better. And so we've been able to have the blessing of having some of your scripting in there as examples as well. And one of these days, I'd love to have you come on as a guest for a little bit and give us the real stuff, like right live. That would be so fun.
Live, and I love it. I love it.
Steve Kyle's live on the client
I like
conversion
it.
training. So I would love that. Those are the 3 courses we have. And I just think it's so important that they get trained the right way.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
the thing. Yep. Give us some words of wisdom for loan officers in today's market, Steve.
A couple of things. Number one, and this is probably from me last year, if I were to look back and say, what was the single most important aha or epiphany I had, was that as you're looking at this year, there's actually 2 things I'd focus on. We got to prospect our way out of today's environment, which means you got to focus on the right activity. The right activity that moves the needle the fastest is simply agent relationships. I would encourage you to get connected with us at the Marketing Animals. Focus on the daily success plan. For our membership, we have something called Callstars, which is a daily accountability 2 hours calls where hundreds of loan officers from across the country get on and are holding each other accountable to making their outbound calls to meet with new agents. So in today's environment, the only way out of this is prospecting our way out and leaning into the discipline of what it is I need to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 9 to 11 to really move the needle. And in 90 days of committed activity, you're going to see the needle move. The second thing is this: as you're building, as you're growing, as you're thinking about your business, my challenge to you would be, think about who. It's always a who that can help you grow to the next level. If you're a single loan officer and you're finding that you're bumping into a ceiling of 4 to 5 units a month, who can I add to the team in order to break the ceiling of 4 to 5 and get to 6 to 8?
Yes.
If you're at 6 to 8 a month, who can I add to the team to help me break through and get to 8 to 12 a month? If you're at 12 to 18, who can I add to the team, and what do they need to do in order to help me break through the barrier of 20? And then same thing with 30 units a month, because I guarantee you this: your growth in 2023 is 2 things: prospecting the right activity consistently, and who can join you to help keep doing even more of the activity. Because look, if I'm growing, the prospecting still has to happen. It doesn't matter if it's me making the calls or somebody else, but somebody's got to do it in order to see the continued success. So I think it's number one, focused on the right sales activity. And it's not widgets. It's not Facebook. It's not Instagram. Listen, I don't care what your social is. I care about how many talk tos are you having a day? How many new qualified agent relationships are you building a week? That's going to determine how many leads you get a month. That's going to tell you how many closings you're going to have. And the 4 things you got to focus on are leads, closings, hours worked, and money saved.
Yes.
You do those 4 things next year, focused on prospecting, adding your who's as you're growing, you'll explode and see significant scalable results in 2023.
And with that Callstars that you talked about, that Mortgage Marketing Animals and Freedom Club
Yes.
members are in, it is
Yes.
amazing to watch, because as
100%.
coaches, we take turns on it, and it's
100%.
really fun to watch. And the energy and the people that I'm coaching, it's been amazing to listen to their stories as they've done it. I just appreciate you so much, Steve. Every time I'm with you, I learn every single time. And I just appreciate you. You've come in with open arms and love and concern, and you have added something very special to the Freedom Club. So I just want to say thank you. I hear it every day when I'm coaching people about Steve this, Steve that, Steve said this. And it's the care that you bring, and you really want to help people, and you do it every single day. And you're the example also in your branch. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining the Freedom Club, for being a partner. And I just really appreciate you. And I thank you for spending your time with us today.
Absolutely. Well, Irene, thank you for what you're doing here as well. What a great, man, just the value you bring to the Freedom Club, our industry, loan officers, and teams. So thank you for your commitment to that. Excited to continue being on the journey. Hey, one day I'm going to jump on that call training with you too.
I
We'll
would
jump on
love
some
it.
scripting with Steve. So I'd love that.
I
All
would
right.
love that. All right. We'll talk soon then. Thank you so much again. And for those of you who are listening today, we appreciate you listening today on the podcast and watching on YouTube if that's where you are. And if you enjoyed this today, please share it with other loan officers you know. And if you receive value from listening, can you do me a favor? We would sure appreciate a 5-star review. That'll help us to get it seen by more people. So we appreciate you being here. Have an enjoyable day, and we'll catch you next time.